A lot of people have been wondering that if I want to get into MBA in finance, what do I do? And then there's a bunch of other people who are asking that if I do CA or CFA, then do I need to get into MBA in finance? Like, what's the difference between professional qualifications like CA and CFA and MBA in finance? And in this video, that's what we're going to go and explain y'all. So before I get into it, guys, please do subscribe to this channel because we're going to be launching many more videos which will help you all make academic as well as career decisions. So let me get right into it, right? Now, the first point of difference which you all need to know is what is going to be studied within professional qualifications like CFA as well as an MBA. So, professional qualifications are much more specialized, much more to the point, and much more in depth. So when you are studying CFA, you're studying everything in the field of finance and investment management. Whereas if you study MBA, you have to basically select, you have electives, so you can specialize in finance, you'll have a lot of finance subjects, but you also have other core subjects such as strategy or operations or marketing. So you become more of a business person over here, and you become much more specialized in the field that you actually want, which is finance and investment management. That's a major point of difference. Point number one. So guys, wait, hold on. I have been saying this since a while now. Once again, if you look at the analytics, 90% of who watch this video do not subscribe to the channel. Please do subscribe and then move on. Point number two, okay, this is more of a general rule. So if you're a CFA, it's a pathway, a professional qualification, it's a pathway to CFO, whereas an MBA is a pathway to CEO. Now, obviously, because CFO is much more specialized and CEO is does not only have an understanding in finance, but also in other core subjects, right? However, it does not mean that an MBA in finance cannot become a CFO and a CA or a CFA cannot become a CEO. So it's possible, but the general trend goes that if you know, the way I explained that if you're a CA or CFA, go towards CFO, MBA, go towards CEO. Another difference is in the recognition. I always suggest, guys, that if you are going for an MBA or even a master's for that matter, do it from the top 20 universities or colleges in India or in the world, or don't do it. It makes no sense coming from a mediocre college and expecting that now that's going to transform your life. If you are from the top 10 will include almost all the IIMs, especially ABC, Lucknow, 𝐤𝐸𝐞𝐿, Indore. It'll include universities like Jamnalal Bajaj, XLRI, ISB. These are great, right? Go through these and it's worth doing the MBA. Otherwise, you're not going to really gain value over a period of time. Coming to professional qualification like CA or CFA, they are much more universally accepted. So that's a major difference, right? If you and I both are CAs or both are CFAs, when we go and apply for some job, they're not going to ask us, where did you study from? You know, what are your credentials? What are your marks? They'll just say, okay, you're a qualified chartered or you're a qualified CFA. Great. And then they'll proceed with their process. Whereas if you come from an MBA, if two of us are basically MBA grads and we go for an interview, there are going to be questions that where did you study? And if you studied from an IIM and I've studied from a relatively low ranking university, they are going to give you more preference. Not because of you or me or a performance, because of our from where we started, right? Our source, which does not happen with CA or CFA. That's a major point of difference. And lastly, the return on investment. Now, quickly with CA or CFA, right? With CFA specifically, it takes you around what? 2.5, 3 years on an average to finish CFA. You'll spend around 3.5 lakhs depending on the dollar rate. The return that you get will sort of be almost instantaneous. You know, in your first job as a CFA level 3, or what a fresher CFA level 3 gets is way beyond 10 lakhs. At least an average is 10 lakhs if you're a qualified CFA level 3. Similarly for a CA, if you clear CA, your starting fresher salary package is 8 lakhs, 7 lakhs, right, on an average in at least the good companies. Now, when it comes to MBA in finance, the return on investment is high, again, only if you're from the top 20, not otherwise. So, you might spend on an average 20 lakhs to go through your 2 years of IIM. That's completely worth it because your first year's salary will be close to that much, maybe more. But if you're from a mediocre college, you might spend not as much as I am. Let's say you spend 5, 7, 10 lakhs. You're not sure of the kind of returns you get, because in the real world, they don't get. It might be fancy when you're thinking about it, because all universities are trying their best to get their students placed, but it doesn't always happen. So return on investment is a big question mark unless it's from the top 20. If it's from the top 20, it's completely worth it. Right? And top 20 could mean in India or overseas. Now, another major point, CFA or CA, you get your work experience built as you study. For MBA, let's say you've completed your graduation, you've given your CAT or your GMAT, and you're directly going to study. Those 2 years on an average that you study in MBA, you're blocked in terms of work experience. You're just studying, you're networking. That's again a huge advantage of MBA, but you don't get any work experience. It starts post. Whereas in CFA or CA, you can start working almost before you start your qualification, and then work completely through passing all your exams in these kind of professional degrees. So those are differences between CA, CFA kind of qualifications and MBA, especially MBA in finance. Another major question what people ask us, right? That okay, what if I combine the two? Right? Let's talk about CFA and MBA, and let's combine the two. Brilliant solution. When you combine CFA and MBA, the first question you should ask is, what should you study first? How do you combine it? So let me break it down. If you are in college, if you have not started either CFA or MBA entrance exam studying, first suggestion is start with CFA. Why? Because once you study CFA, you get into, and then you give your CAT exam, for example, you get decent marks, and then you go for an interview. In the interview, to say that, I'm applying for MBA, but I've also completed CFA level 1 or CFA level 2, gives you a huge advantage over all the others who are sitting with you. Also, if you're a commerce student, all the more reason you should do it, because you're going to be competing for the same seat with an engineer, with an IITian, or maybe with somebody who's an experienced person itself. So having CFA at least level 1 is a huge advantage for you going against so many qualified people. Now, let's say you've already started studying for CAT, right? And you're going to give your exam. Then when's the next best time? The next best time will be go for your interview. Hopefully you're going to get selected, and then study for level 1 time of your interview till the time your MBA starts. Why? In the real world, a lot of MBAs do this, right? They have, when you join your MBA, when it starts, right? Let's say it starts in June. In July or August, you have placements. Okay. Even if you got into the college without CFA, but by the time the placement starts, if you have level 1 on you, now these companies are hiring a lot of people from your own IIM or your own MBA college, and you have a reason to stand out above your peers. So if you've not started CFA before, the best time is to start it before, complete the first level, right before the placement starts. Huge boost it will give you. This is another point. All right. One thing to keep in mind, guys, whether you're sure of this or not, as long as you say, okay, look, I don't know if I want to do MBA, I don't know if I want to do CFA, and I have time to decide, I have a year or so, my suggestion is start CFA and at least aim at finishing level 1. Because if you it takes around 6 months to clear level 1. If you clear it, right, then you decide to do MBA in finance, great, you already have advantages, whether it's the interviews or the placements. If you decide not an MBA, I'll continue with CFA, no problem, your momentum has begun, you already taken off with CFA level 1. So there is no downside in commencing CFA level 1. So that's a huge important point elsewhere. So these are the reasons why you should know the difference between a professional qualification like CFA and MBA in finance. Right? One is much more specialized. One is holistic. One is leading you towards CFO. The other is more towards CEO. The return of investment is completely worth it with a professional degree. Maybe not so much with MBA unless it's from the best. And combining it is probably a very powerful combination, because in the world of finance in India, if you wanted to get into investment banking and hedge funds and things like that, an MBA is a must, and CFA is the cherry on the cake for that. So with that, I hope that it answers a lot of the questions that some of you all might have about MBA and what to do to get into the field of finance. adding professional qualifications might be your answer. If there's anything we've missed, please let us know in the comments and we'll definitely get back to you.